Yes, I'm still in my pyjamas from the waist down. Let's crack on with the books. Again today to do my part 2 of my recent wrap-up. I have another 5 books here to talk about, and I'm just going to get cracking so I can get through them as quickly as possible because I'm ready for bed, and I really wanted to talk about these books tonight because I didn't want to wait till tomorrow because I want to talk about them now, so I'm going to. So the first book that I'm going to talk about is this one, The Rochdale Poltergeist, A True Story. This made for an interesting, really quick little read. I don't know if it tells you how many pages there are. 115 pages. I skim read some of the pages because there isn't a lot of content to fill in this book, and therefore I gave it only 3 out of 5 stars. It's about a little bungalow that looks unassuming but inside is experiencing a bizarre spate of hauntings. However, the book doesn't go too much into detail about what's going on. There doesn't seem to be a lot of investigation done. So for that reason, unless you're a die-hard fan and feel that you must read this book, I wouldn't actually recommend this to you. There are better books out there. The next book that I've got is this one, Slender Man by Anonymous. I gave this 4 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed it. It was a fun, quick YA read. It's obviously about Slender Man. I hit the book there, let's pretend that didn't happen. It's obviously about Slender Man. I hit myself. This is not going well. It's about Slender Man. It's all told in diary form, chat manuscripts, manuscripts of police interviews. You've got WhatsApp messages, text messages, and journal entries as well. This was a fun read. It's about Lauren who goes missing, and there seems to be a Slender Man link to her disappearance. It's quite creepy, it's atmospheric, with the text messages and things. It feels quite realistic, and I really enjoyed it. The next book that I read is another YA. This is The Twisted Tree by Rachel Burge. This is a very creepy tale with sort of like Norse folklore running through it as well, which I found quite interesting, and it led me to read a little bit more about the sort of the folklore involved, and I educated myself, so that's always a good thing. This is about Martha. Martha fell out of a tree, has no memory of how she did it, but she fell out of some creepy twisted tree, and she went blind in one eye. And after that happened, she started to be able to tell things about people by just touching their clothes. So she can touch someone's belongings and she can find out all sorts of things about their life just by simply touching their clothes. And she really wants to find out more about a gift and talk to somebody who might understand. So she goes in search of her grandma. But when she gets there, her grandma has died and there's an unusual boy living within the house. And then it all starts to unfold. It's sort of a retelling of Nordic folklore mixed with horror. And once I picked it up, I found it quite hard to put it down, and I read it pretty quickly. So yeah, that's The Twisted Tree. The next book that I read was a pretty massive one, The Clockmaker's Daughter by Kate Morton. This is my first Kate Morton book, so this was a very different tale. This is not what I was expecting it to be, and I really enjoyed it. So this is about Birdie, and this is a story that spans over centuries and has a lot of different characters. But I gather by reading online that that seems to be quite a typical feature in Kate Morton's books. I really enjoyed it, to be honest. It did take me a while to get to grips with who was who and who was actually speaking, but when I did, I really enjoyed it. The main character in it is Birdie, and she has many different names depending on who's talking about it, and nobody actually remembers her real name, but she links in with all these different people, and I just found it such a long spanning tale that was just enticing, and it was so thick with history and just that sort of historical fiction feel that I really enjoy, and I got on really well with this. It took me quite a while to read it. Look, it is really big. How long is it? Let's have a look. 585 pages, so it did take quite a while to get through this, but it was worth it. And how beautiful is this cover? So to make sure I don't accidentally spoil something for you, I'm just going to try and quickly sum up what this is about because it is really big and complicated. So it says, in the summer of 1862, a group of young artists led by the passionate and talented Edward Radcliffe descend upon Birchwood Manor on the banks of the Upper Thames. Their plan was to spend a secluded summer month in a haze of inspiration and by creativity, but by the time their stay is over, one woman has been shot dead while another has disappeared, a priceless heirloom is missing, and Edward Radcliffe's life is in ruins. And at the centre of it all is Birdie, and I really enjoyed her voice. I don't want to spoil it for you, so I'm not going to say too much more about it, but I would love to know if you've read this, what your thoughts are, because it was a very different read for me and I enjoyed it. The final book that I've got is Alex Milway's Hotel Flamingo. I have just finished reading this with my daughter. This is a children's book and I really enjoyed it. It's really fun. This has loads of beautiful illustrations in it. It's all pinky and pretty, and obviously it's flamingo themed, that's why it's so pink. And this is about Anna, who has bought a hotel and she's now going to run it, and it used to be the big grand Hotel Flamingo, but now it is in ruins, and there's a rival hotel called the Glitz up the hill and everyone's going there. So Anna has to make sure that she can restore the former glory to the Hotel Flamingo, hire some new staff, and make sure that all animals, big or small, are very welcome at Hotel Flamingo, and she does it brilliantly. This was a really fun read. I read it with my little girl. One of the features I really enjoyed about it is the fact, I've left the bookmark in there. One of the features I really enjoyed about it was that on some of the illustrations there's a snail, and at the beginning of the book it tells you to look out for the snail, and you go through the book and there's 20 of them to find within the story. So that made it an extra element of fun. Me and my daughter were racing to find the snail. I won most of the time, but we won't get into that because she's only 5, and I probably shouldn't gloat because she is 5, but it was fun. And yeah, I love this. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. And if you're looking for a good fun read to read to the 5 to 10 market, this one, you need to read this. It was so much fun. So that is the end of part 2 of my wrap up, and as always, if you've read any of these books, let me know. If you're going to, let me know, and for anything else, let me know, and I'll speak to you all soon. Bye for now.